Hello and welcome back to another episode of Your Drone Questions Answered. I'm John Dickow with the Drone Launch Academy, here to find the answers to the questions that you submit. And today's question is, what is Lidar drone technology? How does it work? And how is it applied? So today I have with me Jackson Rector. Jackson is a drone pilot and also a Lidar technician with Wiser Consultants. Thanks for joining me today, Jackson.
Absolutely. It's nice to be here.
I just kind of want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, kind of talk about what you do with Wiser Consultants, how you use drones.
Absolutely. Wiser is a LiDAR surveying and engineering company. And my role with Wiser is basically their entire aviation department is me. I maintain their drones, I plan all the flights, and I execute the flights. And then I take the data that I collect from the aerial unit and I process that into what the rest of the company uses for its product. So I'm their drone pilot, and then I also help with processing and collecting the LiDAR data.
Very cool, very cool. And is it, I'm assuming a lot of the kind of work you do is like mapping and that kind of thing, or I don't want to give away too much when it comes to our question, but that's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's on a broad spectrum. You are mapping and surveying large areas. Also, just some nice progress photos, completed job photos that you can collect with standard drones as well. But basically, making maps and making nice file formats, data that you can present to your clients.
Awesome that you get to fly a drone for your full-time job. A little jealous. Well, let's just start with this before we kind of get into the meat of the question. What is LiDAR technology? Because I remember I first heard about it just a few years ago when the latest iPhone had come out and it had LiDAR technology. And I was like, what the heck is this? So could you just explain what LiDAR technology is?
So LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging. That's the common name that I've always heard. Some people have different terms for the acronym, but it's always been light detection and ranging. And basically, what it is, no matter if it's on a drone or on the back of a car or in your iPhone, it's a sensor that shoots out thousands or millions of laser light points. The light points bounce off of something, whatever it hits, and then comes back to your sensor. And then that is all collected and processed into whatever you're looking for. It's radar, but with light. So you're sending out light points, you're measuring what it bounces off of and the time and the distance that it takes to bounce off and come back to you. That's essentially LiDAR.
Well, thank you. That kind of sets the foundation here for this question. It kind of makes sense now, especially when you harken back with your iPhone camera, drones now having that kind of ability. So if a drone has LiDAR technology, does that work any different than it would be, say, on your phone? How would it be used and applied?
So it doesn't work fundamentally any different depending on what you're using it on. Oftentimes at my company, we have a mobile LiDAR unit on the back of a truck and an aerial LiDAR unit on an aircraft. And those two work hand in hand to map or survey the desired area. So the fundamentally, whether it's on your phone, whether it's in a vehicle, whether it's on an airplane or a drone, you're sending out laser points and you're measuring what comes back. The difference is in the application. So your cell phone will probably be able to detect your face or something close up to it. On the back of a vehicle, you can have a very large unit. It can have very good detail within hundreds of centimeters, and you can map anywhere you can drive a car. So usually standard roads. On an aircraft, though, you're going to be able to cover a lot larger of a distance. And that is the advantages of drone LiDAR. We usually run a vehicle down the main road that we're mapping to get very, very accurate data within tenths or hundredths of a centimeter. And then we run aerial over the entire project to collect the outer boundaries that the car can't go to and that sensor can't reach. And aerial LiDAR, depending on the settings that you are flying at, so your distance from the ground, the distance between the lines that you're flying, your speed, everything, can get into different variables. But the main thing is it's not going to be as accurate as on the back of a vehicle really close to the ground. But the great thing, like I said, is you can cover large distances. We're talking accuracy of centimeters or tenths of centimeters. So in the grand scheme of things, it's very precise, very accurate, and can be used in a lot of different ways.
So the drone that you're using, can I ask, I don't know if like a consumer level drone has LiDAR technology. What kind of drone do you fly?
We fly a DJI Matrice 300. So it's a consumer level aircraft. It's on the pricier side of consumer level. We don't have the drone with LiDAR technology built into it. We have a drone to carry our package, our payload. So we have the Matrice 300, and then we have a LiDAR unit, I believe the GOQ 515 from the company GOQ in Huntsville, Alabama. They make different LiDAR units for different aircrafts. So kind of you can customize what you want to. We picked our aircraft and we picked the LiDAR unit that can attach. And it attaches just like any other camera system that would attach to the DJI would.
Wow. And you mentioned mapping. It's kind of like one of the larger uses for LiDAR. With Wiser Consultants, do you mind just giving a couple examples of the kind of areas, whether it's who your clients are or just what in general you're mapping?
Absolutely. We tend to work with cities, counties, and overall state departments of transportation. Most commonly, we'll be doing an interstate, an off ramp, or a road of that nature. And what we do is we'll scan the entire area. And then with LiDAR, you're measuring what the light hits and how high it is, and you're getting millions of data points and you're processing that into a point cloud. So then within that point cloud, you can strip away different layers and take away all the trees. You can take away the leaves, the wires, the power lines, everything. You can get just the ground. And you use the ground to create an orthogrammetric map. So within our LiDAR unit, we also have two side facing cameras, a slight angle, and those also capture at intervals, and then you can stitch those together and make an orthogrammetric map. And that's a big part of any drone operation. So we do that, but you need the surface for that. You need to know where the ground is. In addition to that, we take LiDAR and we upload it into a point cloud. And then within that point cloud, you can see everything, the paint lines on a road, whether it's dashed or solid, the curb, the brake line behind the curb, the drainage area, where the water is going to flow. And so we take that point cloud into another computer system, and then we just collect it all. And so whether it's running computer processes or whether it's doing it manually, we're getting in there, we're drawing lines right on top of where that paint is, whether it's a stop bar or a turn signal, a dash line down the road that you're driving. And you can place lines within the data right on the curb, right on the sidewalk where it goes. And so once you've collected everything, you can then remove the point cloud and you have a 3D model to the 10th of a foot of that interstate exit, that off ramp, whatever you're mapping. And then you can pass that along either to your client or you can pass it along to your own engineering firm. We have our own design firm that we can pass it off to. And then you have a 3D model. Imagine a blueprint, but in 3D space that you can manipulate. You can say, okay, this is exactly how I-65 at this spot looks. This is exactly how this road looks. We want to add a sidewalk. We want to add another lane. This is how we move it. And it's so much easier than looking at a blueprint that was drawn in the 80s and saying, okay, well, this is the scale and let's get the rulers out and let's start. You have a 3D model that you can then manipulate. And then you can bring the point cloud back in and collect assets. So you can say, this is exactly where this street sign is. This is exactly where this stoplight is, where the strain pole, the catch basin, everything on that road. You can, in 3D space, in the real world, you can say, this is exactly where that is.
Very cool.
That's the bread and butter. That's the main thing that we do. And it's become revolutionary in the transportation industry.
Honestly, we've talked to on this, even on this podcast, other people who are leveraging drones to map areas, whether it's a parking lot or a construction zone, home inspections. But it sounds like LiDAR technology just takes everything to the next level when it comes to precision and accuracy. And it's really cool. One last question. A lot of our audience where they're kind of just starting off in the drone game. They're trying to, look to apply either a drone to their job or find a job that uses drones. You're in the thick of it. Do you have any advice for somebody who's looking to use a drone in their work?
My advice can be varied and it's based on my own experience. The aerial industry and the drone industry right now is still emerging and people are still finding new ways to work with drones. And so my general advice when you're looking to get into the drone industry, one, you get your Part 107, you get some hands-on training flying, specifically manually flying. A lot of these drones that we have now are great and they have GPS and they have position holding. All of that is amazing, but there's always going to be an instance where something goes wrong and you need to manually take control of the aircraft. And so really having your fundamentals down is really important. On top of that, just being open to learning other aspects of a company or a job is really important. I came from a solely drone based background. That's what I went to college for. It's what I was working in. And when I moved into my position here, they needed a full-time pilot. They needed someone to fly, to plan, to do everything I knew how to do. But they also wanted me to learn the LiDAR aspect of it, the computer processing aspect of it. I've found in looking around at different jobs and working in the industry, drones are emerging still, but they're usually supplemental to a company or a position. And so if you can find a company that you enjoy the atmosphere of and another technology, something that you really enjoy doing in construction or in mapping, utilities, whatever it be, and then you can bring that flight certification and that experience to that position. You can be multifaceted, so you're not always flying every day. You're also integral in other ways to your company, and that can only grow. But that would be my advice.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for coming on today and answering this question. This Jackson Rector with Wiser Consultants. We'd love to have you on again if we have a similar question when it comes to the LiDAR space in mapping. And in the meantime, you, our audience, can submit your own question and we will find the answer for you. You can submit a question over ydqa.io or submit a question over the Drone Launch Connect private community if you're a part of that. We'll see that and we'll go ahead and take your question and find the answer. In the meantime, we'll see you in the sky.